I need you guys to watch something. Just preface this. I watched this multiple times, so understand what the fuck is this person trying to say. And the person happens to be Teal Swan, Yale's favorite spiritual guru.
It is very simple when things like this happen to get lost in the surface of it. Right now, the whole world is getting lost in a surface argument about what plot of land belongs to what group, and who is more justified in feeling victimized by what group.
There's nothing surface levels about what is happening. People are fucking dying. They're getting killed. Innocent people are getting killed.
Separation, the perception of separation, which comes with the human ego, launches this myriad of negative expressions. Negative expressions like greed, negative expressions like fear, negative expressions like domination, negative expressions like the capacity to play a zero-sum game. So what you're looking at in the world are these surface symptoms, and very large ones, that are all down to that root cause. And unless people integrate their ego, it will continue to occur.
I just feel like this is not the time to be philosophical when people are fucking dying and the state of Palestine has been suffering a series of genocide and massacres for decades. This is not about people fighting over a land. This is also based on ethnic cleansing. What a privilege to be so philosophical during times like this when people are literally getting murdered.
Again, at the root of all of this is this deep perception of separation that people hold in the myriad of issues.
Obviously. No shit, Sherlock. Obviously, this is about separation. But that is exactly what's happening, though. They're finally getting the world's attention because now the oppressors are finally seeing blood on their hands. The only reason why most people in Western countries are just now finding out about this whole war, obviously, which is why they're taking Israel's side or they think they know what they're talking about, is because the media is portraying this in a certain way. Because most people do not practice critical thinking skills, they think this is merely about the land. They think it's just a conflict between two countries, when in reality, one state is sovereign and the other is not. The state of Palestine has been under colonialism for decades. So what exactly about this is surface level? And obviously, conflict will persist. We can't prevent wars from happening because obviously it's about the ego. It's about the illusion of separation, blah, blah, blah. And just maybe the way people can actually show up properly to resolve conflicts like this and prevent future conflicts and wars is by doing research. Before believing anything they see on the media, do your own proper research and empathetically understand ethnic groups. Understand what oppression means. Understand what colonization means. Understand what it means to have your rights taken away. Obviously, if you're someone who benefits from this white supremacist society, you can't possibly grasp onto a concept of what it means to be oppressed. So obviously, it's very easy to say things like this. Oh, it's about the lack of consciousness. It's all about the ego. We all want peace. If anyone's watching this, and if you've ever been bullied, you'll understand exactly what it's talking about. Your bully doesn't respect you when you demand for peace, when you beg them, when you cry for help, when you cry for freedom. They don't listen. They don't care about your feelings. And majority of the times, only when the victim or the oppressed person or oppressed group, when they act out in violence, the other side listens, or rather the whole world listens. And oftentimes they control the narratives. The subtext of what this is giving is very much, well, what's going on out there has nothing to do with us because it has to do with the root cause of greed and ego not being integrated. And by us engaging with this conflict, it's going to create more conflict. It's giving very much like, just be at peace with yourself. It's giving tone deaf. It's giving delusional. It's giving very out of touch with reality. Don't get me wrong. I understand everything she's saying. But the context is just so not appropriate because this type of message is why people stay ignorant to other people's wars. This type of mindset is what makes people stay separated from what's happening out there. As long as you're fine, as long as you're at peace, as long as you can embody all this generosity and kindness because you're at peace, does that mean that you get to ignore other people's wars and conflicts? People have the responsibility to spread knowledge and education, and we have to listen to the oppressed groups. I don't like that she keeps talking about how there's nothing we can do, that there's nothing we can do to stop conflict because it's going to add to more conflict. But this was never about stopping the conflict though. Like that's the tone deaf part. I mean, this would make a lot more sense if we're dealing with two nations that are completely sovereign and independent on their own, but we're talking about two states where one is sovereign and the other one is not sovereign.
Whatever you see in the world, stop getting lost in the surface. Go down to the root cause of that surface symptom.
The root cause is oppression. What do you got to say about that?
The answer to this whole thing is to become the antidote to the root cause of whatever it is that you are looking at.
Obviously, like...
What does that mean practically? It means that if you see prejudice happening in the world, No amount of telling people not to be prejudiced is going to change anything.
But this kind of message gives people the permission to almost keep separating themselves from the conflict or wars out there that is a result of oppression and ignorance. If you truly care about being a positive contribution to the collective consciousness in the way that you are a part of the ascension of the collective consciousness, like, yeah, let's use a spiritual language now, since that's what this video is about, right? But if that is truly your goal, then you must become an active member of participating in raising the vibrations, and that comes with you assisting your neighbors, assisting people when they are dealing with oppression, when they're dealing with victimization of colonization or bullying or harassment. That you must assist. The way that you practice oneness is by you helping people when you have more privilege than them. It's not about separating yourself because, oh, I can just practice my peace in my own way and while just ignoring what's happening over there since I can't do anything about it. That's ignorance. If you think that your peace matters but theirs doesn't, and if you actively ignore what's happening in the world because you feel like you can't really contribute, you are part of the problem. And you listen to spiritual gurus who spew shit like this from a very privileged place, you guys will listen to anything that validates your ignorance, won't you? You will listen to anything that confirms, oh, it is okay to just stay silent and just ignore. Check your oppressor mindset. Check your colonizer mindset. Check the way that your mind has been controlled by the media. Check the way your mind has been indoctrinated. That's how you can really contribute to the higher consciousness.